Hello, and welcome to the Bari Nation podcast, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty. I am Jason.
I'm Natalie, and you might notice that we have some other familiar faces and maybe some new faces joining us. We have Sarah and Madeline. Hello. So today we're going to chat about family dynamics with bariatric surgery, how having bariatric surgery can possibly encourage a family member to have the surgery, or at least become maybe more curious about the surgery. So we're going to dive deep into that, as this month is all about bariatric family dynamics. So I think we'll just dive in. What do you say?
Yeah. Let's go.
Yep. All right. So I guess, Madeline, we'll start with you. Who are you? What surgery did you have? Give us all the deets.
So I'm Madeline. I am Natalie's cousin. I had the vertical sleeve gastrectomy in September of 2021. And counting the weight that I lost pre-op, I've lost 115 pounds total, and about 65 of that is since surgery.
Amazing. Awesome. And then Miss Sarah.
Hello. So I'm Sarah. I am Jason's wife. I had VSG on May 14th of 2021. So I just had my 1 year surge anniversary. I'm down 142 pounds so far.
Amazing. Awesome. I guess we'll just kind of like dive in with the first question. How were you encouraged to have surgery, or what, I know that I had surgery before Madeline. I know Jason had surgery prior to Sarah, but I know the two are very different stories. So I'm curious to see, how you were led or encouraged to have surgery from a family member.
You came and stayed with me for like one night before Thanksgiving of last year. So you'd been about 2 months, I think, out from your surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually sitting like literally right here on this couch. And we were having dinner, and you obviously couldn't really eat that much. It had only been 2 months since your surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking about it. You were just telling me a little bit about, what surgery you'd had and what it meant, and what it was like for you at that time. And at the time I was like, that's wild. Like, I'd like briefly known that you were going to have surgery, but then it was already happened. It had been a couple months, and you were just really matter of fact about it. It's not like you were trying to convince me to have surgery. It's not like you were trying to like pump it up or make it anything that it wasn't. You were just really straightforward about it. And we had Thanksgiving. It was what it was. And then you came back in December. You did the same thing before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of more of the same, where like I just was learning a little bit more about it, and I was kind of getting more of an idea of like, maybe this is something that I could do. Like, if she can do it and she can be so successful and, learned all these things, like, well, I mean, I can definitely do it too. I mean, Natalie and I are a lot alike. We're only a couple years apart. And I mean, I haven't had nearly your experiences with weight loss surgery and that kind of stuff, but we've had like similar issues with weight, I guess. So I would say, like,
Mm-hmm.
I've never been thin. I've always struggled with my weight. And I think that was the point at Christmas that I was like, I think I'm gonna do this, or at least I'm gonna reach out and like find a program. And I think I had a doctor's appointment like right after the first of the year, and I brought it up to my PCP, and I was like, I know I'm a candidate. Can you give me a referral? And I got my first appointment by, I think, the end of January, and I never looked back, really. I mean, I went to that appointment, I got situated, got set up with the appointments, and they were like, are you, do you want to move forward? And I was like, look, I take a long time to make a decision. It takes me forever to make a decision. But once I make the decision to commit, I'm in. And I was. I mean, I have not looked back since January. Yeah.
So any part of Natalie's prior issues that she had with some of the surgeries she had before, did any of that, how much did that weigh into your decision to wait or to go ahead and decide to have the surgery?
It didn't really. It's funny you say that, because I knew about the lap band. But I didn't realize that you'd also had application until, the last year. And I think I kind of read more about what options there were, sleeve versus Roux-en-Y versus lap band, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the more I read about it, the more I was like, I hate to say it, but she just got really unlucky.
I did. I was, and I'm the minority, and I try to tell people that all the time. Like, I am the 0.5% that just get the short end of the stick. And we were pretty young though when I had my first surgery too. So that's the other thing is like, I had those complications. I didn't talk about them really because I was so young. I can see how, like, from your point of view, it was kind of like, well, I didn't really think about it because it was like 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was a long time ago. And her success with this surgery just far overshadowed any of the complications or the struggles that you'd had with your previous surgeries. I mean, where you were at now and the success that you were having with this current venture, I mean, blew all that stuff far and away out of the water.
Yeah. I remember too, like, that Christmas happening, and I could tell that you were like curious about it. I think that's the thing is like, you can always tell when people are like curious about what's happening. And I was like, man, I really want to like really have a conversation with her, but I was like, but I'm gonna let her come to me. I'm gonna let her come to me, and I'm not gonna say anything.
Right.
And then literally like 3 weeks later, you were like, so I have an appointment in 2 weeks for this surgery, like a consultation. And I remember just being like, yes, like yes, because we did. We have both really struggled with our weight, like as we got into our like late 20s. And so I was excited because like I would have someone in my family who is going through the same thing as me, but also just because I love her and like I want you to be happy and healthy. So it did just kind of happen naturally after that.
It really did. It's so funny because you visiting for Thanksgiving is absolutely, it's so clear in my mind. It's like seared into my mind that I was like, that is when like the seed was planted. And I was like kind of thinking about it more because it's interesting timing too, because like I'd been talking with Doug, my husband, about wanting to lose weight. We really want to start a family. We want to be able to do all these things. And there was a lot of things that I felt like I couldn't do. And interestingly enough, there's research that shows that if you lose weight prior to having kids, you can actually influence the genes that you pass on to your children. It has to do with epigenetics, that there's like genes that have multiple ways they can be expressed.
Okay,
and so
that's cool.
It's really like preliminary research, but it's very promising. And that also, I had like just learned about that very recently around that time. So there's a few things that had kind of all happened around the same time that I was like, it all happened at once in my brain. It was just the perfect little brain tornado.
That's awesome. Sarah, what about you? How did this all go together? Because I know that it's a different kind of story, so I want to hear it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So, we actually have, Jason and I have several friends that have had VSG back in Oklahoma, where we're from. And one of them, I have known since I was, if not the end of high school, like a very young adult, like under the age of 20 was like when we met. And she, before we had left, we kind of the same thing, like we were smaller when we were younger. We, struggled with our weight after we got older. She got diagnosed with diabetes right before we moved to Florida. And she had started losing weight, but she'd started losing weight because she was sick, like from not being able to manage her blood sugars and things like that. And so she does insurance. And so she's on the CAT team, babe, the catastrophe team. Basically, when there's like a devastating thing in an area, they send them there. And so she had, after one of the hurricanes, I think it was around 2018, they had sent her down to like South Florida, and she was there for like a little over a month. When she came back, or when she was going from here to wherever the next place was, she stopped and I met her for lunch. And I'd seen her on social media, but I had not seen her in real life in like 3 years. Since she, in that time, she had VSG. And her weight loss was amazing. Her diabetes was under control. She was just talking about, actually, I think her diabetes, because it was type 2, I think she was no longer considered diabetic.
Right.
And then, just talking about all the things that she was able to do, all the health benefits, and, really the fact that like, she's like, I don't even know that I would be in this job if I had not had the surgery, and was just talking about like, basically like physically how she could move more. And then I actually found out that she also had a lot of chronic pain, and which I did prior to surgery. I had a lot of digestive issues, acid reflux, GERD, like I was on like 9 different prescriptions just to sort of manage and move around during the day.
To be like baseline, essentially.
Yeah. I didn't even feel well. It was just like, so I could function. Because I was still always like uncomfortable for one reason or the other. But yeah, so she told me she had VSG. She had actually gone to a doctor in Mexico, in Tijuana, and did like the medical tourism to have surgery. And so I kind of was like, oh, this is, amazing. And so I looked into it, went to my PCP, kind of the same thing Madeline said, got the referral. However,
right.
It's
not always so.
Yeah. It was actually excluded from my policy. So it's not like, and so at the time I did utilization review. Part of my job was proving medical necessity for patients. Like I knew how to go through that process. But I wasn't being denied because they weren't saying it was medically necessary. They were basically like, yeah, we know it's medically necessary, but it's specifically an excluded service from your policy. So, we can't pay for it. And so then they said, but we have this cash price. It was like $23,000 or something, ridiculous. And I contemplated that and thought about going to Vegas, which was like around $8,000, I think. And there's lots of ways to like work around your insurance system where they'll pay for your hospital. Certain plans will pay for like your hospital stay, your anesthesia, all that. You just have to pay for the actual VSG out of pocket. So I tried to kind of work all that. It didn't work. And so I reached out to my friend again and got the name of her surgeon. And then I told Jason, I'm going to Mexico to have this surgery. Now, granted, this was, 4 years ago. So Jason's 2 years post-op now. So 4 years ago, all he knew is we knew a couple chicks back in Oklahoma City that had the surgery, lost a bunch of weight. You know, it was kind of like a thing for girls, or something. I don't know what he was thinking. And that if you went to Mexico and had surgery, they were going to steal your organs. Like all of the,
Sure.
all of the, like whatever.
They take part of one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Worst
no,
one,
I
he
went
believed
full
all
board.
of
I was
that,
like,
y'all.
I was like, you wake up with your part of your stomach gone, but you also wake up in a bathtub full of ice and your kidneys gone too. Like, go down there, because I didn't know anything about how all that ran back then. I just knew that, I was like, I knew medical tourism was a thing, but I also didn't know the length of care you got. And I know it's not something that you like. The aftercare is not like you don't get to just hang out in Mexico forever while you're getting better. So I knew that if she had gone there, flew home, had complications, she would have to fly back. And I knew that what happens in the air if you've just had surgery and you're having complications as it is, like altitude doesn't really help any of that. So I was going through 1,000 things in my mind because I'm an underwriter for insurance. So I have to look at the risk of everything. And so I'm compiling the data of all of this horrible stuff that's going to happen while she's over here fighting for the medical necessity part. I'm over here analyzing all the horrible risk side of things. So it was kind of crazy back then.
Yeah. But it was funny because in his effort to talk me out of having the surgery, he talked himself into having the surgery. And it's because I think he was really trying to find all that worst case scenario stuff to convince me not to have it, and then he couldn't really find it. Like he was finding a lot of like positive outcomes, right. And because it's not like it never been suggested to him either. Like his cardiologist suggested to him, and he just thought that was like, it was not on the table. It was not a discussion. It was just like, he walked out of the office appalled that, they would even suggest he have any type of procedure. But yeah, so it was really fortunate because he kind of talked himself into it. And in that process, we discovered like, it was not only covered by his insurance, but like we were approved to go to a surgery center of excellence. It was a very easy qualification process because we had both been, because of our like comorbid stuff, other than just like excessive weight, like we both also had health issues. So the process was like super easy. I think you got your referral in September. Yours took a little bit longer. Just because he did not go to the doctor every 6 weeks like I did. So he had to make up a couple.
I did, but they didn't like the way, my insurance company didn't like the way my doctor provided a diet and exercise plan because she didn't put a specific caloric goal on there. And so they made me go back for 4 of the 6 appointments. So I had 2 that they would count, and they didn't like 4 of them. So I had to go 4 consecutive months. So that dragged the process out a little bit faster. Otherwise, it would have been like referral in September. I would have been being cut on by like January, February.
Yeah.
So I had to wait till March.
But in March 2020, like he had his surgery, but then that also let me find out that his insurance pays for it. So then that next year, we paid out of pocket because honestly, at that point, paying out of pocket for him to switch to like a family plan that covered me was even cheaper than going to Mexico and having the surgery at that point. So I think it was like my surgery ended up being like $3,600, but that was really just like 12 months of $300 a month premiums.
Right.
Yeah. And
wow.
So then, and it was very strategic, I guess, because like I decided this is what we're doing. So like in October when his open enrollment happened, like I joined that. And then I think the policy kicked in January. I went and got my referral. I had my first appointment on your surgiversary with the surgeon. And he got mad because, of course it was still COVID, like we were masked, so he couldn't really see him, but, our surgeon did not even recognize him. He'd lost, almost 200 pounds.
Wow.
And so he was kind of getting irritated, and then he like kind of clicked. He was like, take your mask off. it was just like, oh my gosh, and then so then I had surgery in May. So my process only took 2 months, but it was because I'd done 2 years of pre-work trying to get something approved. But yeah, that was kind of it was different. It was sort of like, I don't know, I didn't talk him into having surgery, but like, yeah, I wanted to have surgery first. He just got to have surgery first.
Your interest sparked his interest.
Yeah. How was that like like how did that kind of feel to kind of, I guess you guys were kind of both on the same, in a way you were both on the same pre-op path in a sense. Like how did him having surgery first, did that like help you kind of mentally and physically prepare for surgery? I don't know, like how did that?
It helped me really, like, so when Jason started losing weight, it helped me really see how bad of shape I was in. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because Jason was in very bad shape. Like not too long before he finally decided to have surgery, like it had gone to where like I was going to the doctor with him because he wasn't being honest about like what was happening.
Yeah.
It was very, like we, had like the first 3 years we lived here, we had a lawn service. And then we bought this house that we're in now where we had, where we had to care for our own yard. And we were like, we were fighting a lot because he wasn't taking care of the house and taking care of the yard. But there was a huge disconnect in my head that he couldn't do it. Like I was interpreting it as, hey, wouldn't do it because, right before we moved here, he took, like, we had a, house, yard, pool, hedges he had to trim. I remember one time he was making me crazy because like he was going around fixing all the scuff marks in like the baseboards and the doors in our house, like in Oklahoma. So when we're here in this house and I'm like, why are you not taking care of these things? And I literally had a disconnect that he like physically could not do these things. And then when he started losing weight and then was just, just simple stuff like dropping trash on the floor and picking it up. Like it might've been something before where he was kicking it. I'm not picking that up. And I would just be like, pick it up, but then that also kind of opened my eyes to now I was having to keep up with him. Because I know like if we walked anywhere, went anywhere, shopping, the grocery store, any of that, I would kind of have to like slow down my pace. So to make sure that he kept up. And it was not maybe 3 months post-op. Like I was like, dude, I need you to slow down because, you have to walk after surgery and stuff like that. And I would walk with him. So like when he first started walking, it was literally like around up and down the driveway, like around the yard. Like he couldn't make it far. And I remember like maybe the second week, like we went to the stop sign and back. And then we would go down to the stop sign and then like we have a big church at the end of the street. And so we'd circle the church parking lot and back. And so, yeah, but it was not 2 months, post-op. I'm like, hey, bud, slow down. Like I can't keep up with you now. But that was what was really eye-opening is like, I mean, I knew I wanted to have the surgery because I was frustrated with my weight and I was frustrated with all of the pain that I was in. And that I knew I did not want to become like diabetic because my aunt has diabetes. My cousin has diabetes. We have both sort of all of us have followed the same, I don't know, metabolic path. So it's like, my cousin's like 6 years older than me. So I was like, I know what's coming. Like if I don't get control of this because I think she got diagnosed around 47. with diabetes and then started getting really sick. And so I was like, I have to figure this out before I'm like in my mid 40s.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, it was a little different. I will say the hardest part though is Jason lost below, like he weighed less than me before I had surgery. And that was probably the hardest part about it, because I wanted to be really, really excited for him, but I have never weighed more than him, like ever. And so, yeah, I think that just like kind of like the emotional thing or whatever was in my head, like I really wanted to be excited for him, but it was really hard for me to be excited for him.
I can see that.
Those feelings come out though, when you are on a similar path, right? And we talk about comparison a lot on this journey, and like when it's someone in your family, like I can imagine how that would be tough if that's something that you want for yourself as well. I mean, I've experienced it not in bariatric surgery, it within my family, so I can imagine that it would come out during the bariatric process as well.
Well, and she was really good about being honest about how she felt and what she was struggling with. And I told her, I said, I understand. Like, I get it. I understand. I don't need you to be, doing backflips and throwing me parties because I've lost all this weight. Like, I understand you're not going to be that thrilled about it just simply because you were supposed to go first and you are a female and I'm not supposed to win. So like, I get all of that. So, and I told her, I was like, I'm not deaf to that. Like, I get that. I respected the hell out of it because I get it. Like, I know.
Right.
So I wasn't giving, I didn't give her any crap. I let her feel the way she felt and we just kind of processed through it and kept it moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we kind of talked about like how you both got to surgery. How has it been having someone in your family, whether it's cousin, spouse, how has it been like post-op? How has it been having someone in your family to kind of do the journey together? Madeline, we'll start with you.
It's funny that Jason asked if you having complications influenced my decision to have surgery, because I ended up having complications. So, it's really very rare to have complications or to have a leak, but I did. And so basically, I had my surgery September 22nd. I got through the 6 weeks of liquids, purees, soft foods, that kind of thing. And I had been on regular foods for less than a week when I ended up running a fever. And then within a week, I was hospitalized. And what was weird was that my only symptom was nausea. And I really struggled with nausea. I struggled getting in enough fluids, enough protein, getting all my vitamins, that kind of stuff. But then I was hospitalized for a week with a leak, and I had a special appreciation for Natalie and the support that I got from her, because it was one thing to say like we'd had the same surgery and within like a week of each other. I mean, a year and like a week. Really, really close to the almost exact same time of year. But also to know that she had complications with her previous surgeries. Mm-hmm. So when I was saying, like I made this big decision, I had committed to this process and was really struggling. I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I never regretted having the surgery when I was in the hospital for a week. I mean, I felt like garbage. I ended up having to have a stent placed that I had for a month. So I ended up being on a full liquid diet for an extra month. Actually, I think it was more than a month. But
it was more than a month.
Yeah. I don't know. That whole time is really fuzzy.
I know.
I was on Ativan or Valium like 24 hours a day. It's a little bit fuzzy. yeah, I think that her really knowing what it felt like to take this big leap and then, in a sense, feel a little bit betrayed, was invaluable. Because, you know, people can say, I understand why you feel the way you do. I understand, you know, I know what it's like to feel nauseated or to feel like you can't eat or whatever. And it's like, but you don't really,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you don't really get it.
That's the sympathy versus empathy that I talk about a lot. Like you get, you have people that are sympathetic all day long, but until you've had somebody that's really been there, and you were lucky enough to have somebody that actually walked in that role. So that takes that just one step farther for you to have that, you know, like people that have had surgery have, you know, the connection, but people that have had surgery and had kind of the similar complications and have both fought through it and got to the other side, that's an even deeper connection to add on to what you already were connected with.
Exactly.
I remember your mom saying, like, because her mom's a nurse, so she deals with patients all the time. And I remember she kept saying, I know nausea sucks. And I'm like, it does, but like in this situation, it really freaking sucks. Like,
and it's so much worse.
And it's not like your traditional nausea.
It's just so much worse. Yeah.
And I just remember because you had to go through Thanksgiving and Christmas with those complications. And, you know, people would just say like, oh, being nauseous sucks. Like just these kind of like passive things. And obviously they're our family. So like, I love them. But it was like, I'd be sitting there listening to everyone saying those things. And I'm like, don't know. You don't really know. Like,
yeah.
So I would just kind of look at Madeline and say, I know, like, just take it easy, go rest.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And the fatigue was wild too, because I spent so long on a liquid diet, and like, I spent so long not being able to really eat and not being able to get my protein goals and not be able to take my meds and not be able to drink enough water. I mean, I was never like hospitalized for dehydration when I had my stent, but it was just, I was always just barely meeting the requirements. And so I had terrible fatigue. I was exhausted. I mean, I would say I was really exhausted well into January, February. I mean, I didn't start really feeling like myself until March. And yeah, and it's just is a different kind of fatigue. It's a different kind of struggling. And it's one thing to be like, I'm thirsty, but every time I take a drink, it makes me feel sick. And you know, everybody's like, oh, have you tried liquid IV? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? And it's like, I've tried everything.
Yeah. It's different when I can't even get the liquid in my mouth, like into my stomach.
Fatigue due to malnourishment is different than just, oh, I'm a little tired. I'm a little, you know, work really wiped me out this week. Like, no, you're malnourished and your body can't run because it doesn't have the vitamins and minerals it needs.
Yeah.
Different. We're talking something way different.
Right. Yeah. Luckily, my labs have never been wildly out of range. Like, they were a little bit low, but I remember thinking like, great, all my hair is going to fall out. I'm going to lose my teeth. Like, I'm like, everything is terrible. My body's falling apart. Like, no, actually I did okay. Like, I was pleasantly surprised. But yeah, it's like, you're not meant to live off of 500 calories a day for 3 months. Like, that's not what your body's designed for. And yeah, it's like that. This is not fatigue relieved by rest. Like, there's no resting that away. And I think until you experience that different level of fatigue and that different level, which even just having the surgery and not having complications, I mean, the first couple of weeks you're tired and things are harder.
And you're malnourished.
I don't think that's exclusive to having complications, but it was next level. And it saved me mentally to be able to text Natalie and be like, I'm losing my mind. And she's like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It makes you crazy.
It does. And yeah, I think it was scary on the other side because I had lived it, to be like, I mean, I remember your mom texted me like, hey, I don't want to worry you, but Madelin's in the hospital. I was like, well, now I'm worried. Like, I don't know what to say here. Like, because I have been on the other end where it was an emergency situation and I had to have my lap band taken out. And it was hard to see Madeline be so sick and fatigued and tired, and because she is, as you can see, a very vibrant person. So when you see someone who is so vibrant, so not vibrant and exhausted and sick, that was really scary for me. But it was followed by the fact that I knew that it would be okay eventually. And so that's how I could tell Madeline, like, it'll be okay. You'll get through it. It sucks right now, but like, and your feelings of like hating surgery right now are valid.
Right.
Like, it's okay to hate that you had surgery right now.
Yeah. I don't hate it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's fun because we trade recipes all the time. And we have like little walking goals for ourselves over our family vacation. So for me, it's been fun because I'm like, I have a buddy now. I can be like, oh, I can't eat this because it's stuck, and have her be like, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Instead of being at a family event and no one knowing what I'm talking about. So yeah.
Dry chicken is like a whole other thing unless you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we get we have a family reunion every year, and they get like fried chicken. I can't eat it anymore.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't even think about that.
I know, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but maybe I'll try it again. Maybe I'll try it again this time. But yeah, I took like one bite and I was like,
didn't even think about it.
Just get the fries, take the skin off, you'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, we'll try it out.
Yeah. We'll give it a go.
Sarah, what about you? How's it been for you and Jason?
You know, so gosh, it's different because, well, and I know like now, like, because I had a lot of complications after surgery, and honestly, when I met Dr. Joe at retreat the first time, like I really had a meaningful, like heartfelt conversation with him and like thanked him for dealing with Jason when I had surgery, because that actually allowed me to kind of like focus on myself, because he was panicking. Like Jason is textbook bariatric patient. Like, I mean, as soon as that anesthesia wore off, he was getting all his ounces. He was doing his lap. Like
I wish.
Never had nausea. He's been able to eat whatever he wants. Well, except lettuce. Salad was really hard on
broccoli.
him.
And yogurt.
And bananas. You can't.
Yogurt was the only thing I could eat.
Yeah, he used to eat a banana every day before surgery. But I mean, like outside of those things, he's pretty much been able to he's breezed through everything.
Sure.
Weight was falling off. And then, I talked about like how quick his activity and like mobility came back.
Right.
Me, on the other hand. So like, yeah, I started vomiting before the anesthesia even wore off. I had to stay extra time in the hospital so they could keep me on an IV because I couldn't keep anything down. I did not hit my calorie goal until January of 2022.
Wow.
Like on like daily.
Right.
Because I just can't do food. Like, yeah, Natalie got lots of calls for me in the beginning because I was hungry, but I couldn't eat. Like I would literally, by the second bite, like I would be nauseous. And then stuff that I could eat some days, then I couldn't eat it again. Like when I try to eat it again, it was funny. Like one of the nights when we were at retreat last fall, because the first night we went to dinner, we all shared, our little bariatric meals. That was so fun. The next night we went, I ate Brussels sprouts. They did really well. So then the next, then the next day, the third day, I'm like, oh, I'm getting Brussels sprouts. Like, I know this works.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, nope, gotta go. And
That's so annoying.
go back.
I had that happen. It sucks.
It does.
But yeah, and so that's one thing, like, where it's kind of like hard is because like, where you think, oh, bariatric couples, you can split everything when you go to eat and you're gonna meal prep together and la la la, and it's gonna be simple. Like,
JK.
no, that is not what happens. Some stuff we meal prep. We do a lot of taco salads because we can meal prep that kind of between us, like, make it the way, like, the way we want it. Because I do lean towards vegetables. I know I'm supposed to eat meat first, protein first. Like, I get that. I know, but I do lean towards vegetables because for whatever reason, the protein is what's really hard on my stomach.
I'm actually the same way, Sarah. A lot of proteins are hard for me. So I'll go for like beans, tofu, like, because those are processed in my body a lot easier. Like chicken, turkey, I like don't even eat those anymore because I just can barely handle it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and you're the person that turned me on to Profi. Because, and like, still now, like, I'm a year post-op, I still have like 1 or 2 protein shakes a day.
Wow.
People are like, oh my gosh, can't believe, but that's how I make sure and get my protein in, because liquids are just easier for me.
Right.
And so Nat turned me on to Profi, and we found out the hard way that Sarah's body does not like stevia.
Yeah. I don't really like stevia anyway.
That. I don't like stevia either at all.
I'd rather have a very no sweetener than have stevia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was because it was like flavored stevia, like specifically to add to your coffee. Yeah. We had got samples. It's from Devotion Nutrition. It tastes amazing.
Is it a liquid?
No, it's like a little stick pack.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
They're like the flavor booster packs. And Sarah and I both, we had our coffee in the it was like a protein coffee bar or something. And we were like, oh, we'll make a Profi, but there was no protein powder. There was only those little sticks.
Sure.
So we thought, oh, this will be great because we'll just like put it in our coffee to flavor it. And we both took one sip and we were like, whoa, like this is not for us.
Gross.
Well, and it was funny because it didn't even click to me what it was, because I'm like, I drink because we didn't have I think I had a protein shake and we used my protein shake and then like I did to do the flavor. It was like a liquid protein shake. But I drink it every day. So I wasn't even thinking about it. And Nat's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. With the face.
She's not fine.
The nausea face.
Yeah.
And April comes around the corner and she was like, you do not look good. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I haven't eaten anything yet. Like, this makes no sense. And then it was actually like the second time I tried to take it, I figured out like,
well, that's the first time's a fluke. The second time you make the connection.
Yeah. But that's one thing that's been very, really, I guess it's been very different, is just that, we don't eat the same things. The other thing that's very different with it, Jason does not like to share. Like, even if he's not going to eat it, so
he's like Joey Tribbiani. Joey doesn't share food.
No, he does not share food. Even if he knows he's not going to eat it, he's like, well, it could be really small. It's not small. Like, we've eaten here before. Like, it's gonna be, it's gonna be what it is. But, and not to mention, I can eat like this much food.
I was gonna say it's too small, even it's too bariatric small. Likely.
No such thing.
No. But yeah, he just has like this whole aversion to sharing. So fun, like most of the time I'm over it. Like, we're just gonna waste the money, like you're eating that again for lunch, whatever.
But a lot of times
So
that's my goal, is because I want to eat it again because I know how good it's going to be the first time. So I'm
Yeah.
going to have to need the sequel to that. So I just
Sure.
pack up the rest of it for the next day.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do know, like, the stuff that people comment, like on my social media, you know, when they figure out who we are, that we both
Right.
had surgery or whatever, like the stuff that people comment that they think is just like this fairy tale,
News
you know,
free.
bariatric friendly household or something. I'm just like, no, that's not real life.
Basically, you
No.
guys have just twice as much bariatric stuff because you have your version and he has his.
Yep.
Yes,
That's exactly how that goes.
we
Yeah.
don't drink the same protein shakes.
Of course not.
We don't take the same vitamin supplements. Like, we don't.
Yeah, of course not. That'd be too easy.
That'd be
Yeah,
way too
you know,
easy.
I'm trying to think. We don't even like the water enhancers. Like, we don't even like the same flavors of those.
I
Because I
can see
don't use
that.
them at all. I don't use them at all. I just drink water. I don't-
Well, but I mean, you use them some. Like, when you use them, though, you only like grape or orange, and I
Yeah,
don't
no,
like
yeah,
grape.
yeah, we don't. You got it. You bought the
Grape?
Econo pack of
Orange?
5. Yeah, she bought like
Yeah,
the Econo
sick.
pack of 5,000 lemon packets, and that's her jam, is just a lemon one.
Yeah.
Because lemon is the best.
Yeah, I'm with Sarah.
Majority rule.
I can do. I mean, I can do. I don't do the lemon things, the true lemon or whatever that y'all do. Like, I don't do those. But
This is
Um,
lemon Ultima. Mm.
I see. There you go. No,
I
have
love True Lemon.
regular
Have you
water.
guys tried the True Lemon?
I don't think I liked it.
I like it in, like, if I'm at the bar and I get like a vodka soda, I'll put like the True Lemon because I think it has
Ah.
more. I think it has more flavor, but I don't like it in just plain. I've actually started leaning more towards plain water lately, just because I think I'm getting more and more averse to sweeteners. Like, I'd rather it be the real thing than like a sweetened.
That's why
whatever.
I don't do it, because that's like, through all the stuff that we've taste tested over the time since we've had, marination and all this stuff. Like, I can't. The second I taste it and it's not real, it kills my mouth. Like, I just can't do it.
So
Yeah.
the True Lemon is not sweet.
No,
literally-
it's very sour.
It's like a lemon wedge.
Yeah,
I have to water it down more than it tells you to.
I do
but
that for
I
mine
cannot-
too.
Yeah, I can't stand like I'm not gonna bash a brand, but the
We know.
lemon flavored, lemonade flavored drink
Right.
mix pack. Like,
Beverage pack.
it tastes very chemically to me.
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
I do like the True Lemon because it tastes like a lemon wedge if you water it down a little bit more than it tells you to.
Really random thing in the
Mhm.
office today. They like stock teas and stuff for us, but they had this big box of I think it was like Twinings brand. It was like one of those really common tea brands, but it was a tea lemonade cold brew like tea bag.
The Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, but it was just a cold brew tea bag, and it was like really lightly sweet, like not super sweet at all. And I was shocked. It was really good, and it was all in one bag. I didn't look at the ingredients. Like, I don't know what's in it, but I was kind of shocked because I was like, oh, I'll give it a try, and I was like, these are delicious. Where do I get
more my
this?
speed? That sounds
Yeah,
more
it was
my
really
speed.
good.
So Madeline, when
Cool.
are you going in the office again? I know you worked in the office today. So when are you going in the office again? We need a picture.
Yeah.
Like Monday or Tuesday next week. I'm gonna put a reminder on my phone right now.
So we're going to be expecting a post on Instagram.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Because Madeline is now on Instagram. Very excited about that.
A little late to the party, but that's okay.
You're never too late. Party's always going. Well, we are almost at our time, but I just wanted to, I guess, say a final or ask a final question of just like, if you could sum up your journey thus far in like 3 words or less. I won't pull the April and say 1 word. 3 words or less. what would you describe it as?
Mine's forward.
You can have 4. It's fine.
Difficult, but worth it.
I like that.
No, you did not. Because that is literally what I was going to say.
Haha, I got 2 first.
Mine was actually challenging, but worth it.
Ah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's oh my gosh. My mind's kind of
That's
blown.
so funny.
that is super funny. Well, I mean, it sounds like we kind of had like similar experiences. Like we both had the really hard nausea and
Yeah.
restrictions on what we could eat and drink. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing that we want to nail in is that it's worth it,
Yes.
no matter what.
It was worth it.
Yeah. And honestly, I know, because I know people like when they like like some of you guys know, how sick I was, especially those of us that are like in that group chat that we text all the time. Like those people kind of know how sick I was, but I really don't talk about how sick I was because I don't want to discourage anybody. Like, oh, I don't want to be sick like that. But because honestly, I would do it again, which is crazy because I still have hard days. Like I still have days when I will, and it's funny because it's literally like 1 bite, 2 swallow, that's fine. Usually by the time I get through the second bite, I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. And I felt so bad because our daughter's best friend just had surgery like 2 months ago. And she was really sick. She had to go back in the hospital, get on an IV, same thing, nausea, vomiting, having a hard time getting stuff down. And she was texting me and she was like, I can't do this like you did. I can't be sick for months like you were. And I felt so bad, but I was just like, honey, you don't know that you're going to be sick.
Right.
Forever, as long as I was. But I felt so bad about that. But yeah, I just, I know we talked about it a lot in here, but yeah, like absolutely. Even though, with everything that I've talked about, I would have surgery again tomorrow.
I've done it 3 times.
Well,
What I tell people.
And all the people that we talk to, like we talk to people that have been gravely, gravely ill and almost didn't make it multiple times, life flighted, meta-flighted, barely made it by the skin of their teeth. And even they say they would do it again. So we have yet to find anybody, even the worst case to the best case. And every single person has always said, that they would do it again. So
yeah, I was septic. I mean, I had to get IV antibiotics for a week and I ended up, I had a stent placed for over a month. I mean, my husband might have different feelings about like, would I do it again? Because I think it was really horrible for him. And I don't really remember a lot of it. But I mean, I would do it again.
I'll say Doug, sorry, I just said his name.
No, it's okay.
Doug was panicked. For sure. I told Sarah, your mom, to give him my number because I was like, I've been there. So text me. And he sure did, and I'm glad he did. But I mean,
he was freaking out.
When Sarah said Dr. Joe literally pulled me through it, Dr. Joe was up with me all night long. Like he knew, even though he worked that day and had surgery the next day, he was like, no, we're not going to bed. Like, we're going to figure this out. Because he would tell me, he would go like, next time they come in, ask them this, this, and this. So when they come in, I would ask them, they would tell me, and I would text him back and say, okay, they said this, this, and this. Okay, that's what I would do. So now what we're going to do now is if this reads like this, you're going to ask them this. And I was like, cool. And he kept me loaded because I was like, anytime they popped in, because he's like, how's she doing now? And I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. He's like, how much is she getting sick? And I'm like, oh, this many liters in the bag. And I'm like, and I've got a very weak stomach. If people are getting sick, like I don't handle that well at all. But I was like in the bag. I'm like looking at the thing, like holding it. I'm like,
isn't it wild? Isn't it wild what you do for somebody when you love them? You're like, I wouldn't do this for anybody else.
Right.
Yep.
But I'll do anything for them.
I was dialed in because I was like, look, I feel like I should have graduated with some kind of white coat when I was done because I was like, I knew all the things. I was like, I need to come in and do somebody's surgery tomorrow. Like, let's get this going. There's a training program surely somewhere that I can jump in.
Yeah. Doug would wake me up in the middle of the night for meds.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, you guys have both met Jason. So Jason is not a small man. And
Neither
so,
is Doug.
like, you know, I'm just like, just let me be sick, please. And he's like at the thing, like he's pacing, you know, in front of the windows in the room, like, and he would sit down and he would get up and he's on the phone and he's walking back and forth. And I'm just like, you are gonna, but I know how other people are afraid of him when he gets like really amped up like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so like I would like start panicking about like, I need you to calm down so you don't scare the people away. Like I need you to, you know, like, you know, but yeah, so I mean, like, honestly, like Dr. Joe literally provided so much support. Like, I just can't thank him enough. And I think I was thanking him so much, I was embarrassing him, but I don't think you know how much it means to you, like to someone, or how much it meant to me to just have somebody like to be able to know that he was okay and like taken care of. So then I could just be sick.
Right.
Because when you're that person that always that takes care of everybody.
Yeah.
You know, you
I identify with that.
Yeah. You can't take care of yourself.
Right.
And so having somebody like literally just like shoulder that so I could focus on me and deal with how I felt and me getting better was just, I can't thank him enough.
Oh, I mean, I feel not with Dr. Joe, but it's like, I think about it sometimes and I'm like, I don't know what I would have done without Doug, because he did everything for me. I mean, I had to crush all my meds, all of my meds had to be crushed in applesauce or yogurt or whatever. I mean, half the time I'd be like, I'm out of water. Can you fill it up for me? I mean, he did everything for me. And it's like, sometimes I feel like I'm never going to be able to repay him back because I mean, I can't think of anything that I needed from him that he didn't give me. He didn't do for me.
You repay him by getting better. You repay him by how you are right now. I can promise you that, because the fact that you made it through and you're up and doing as well as you're doing now, that's his repayment. I promise you.
He's a big sap, and he basically said that.
He was hilarious too at Christmas. He was hilarious because he'd be like in the kitchen, he'd go, Madeline, he'd be like making her like her applesauce or something, and he'd be like, it's meds time. Like, it's time.
I'm like, I don't want to. And he'd be like, well, you have to take it.
Yeah, it was very cute. So, well, this was so much fun. I know we could have talked for like ever about this, but thank you, Madeline and Sarah, for joining Jason and I. Madeline, where can people find you online?
I'm on Instagram. My handle is on the screen, but it's for crib's sake .vsg. Nice. And yeah, I'd love to hear from anybody online because I have a very small following, but I'd love everybody's welcome.
Yay. And Sarah, where can people find you?
So I am also on Instagram. I am very grateful.
Yes.
I am very grateful on Instagram. However, I also run Berry Nation's Very Grateful Instagram page, where we highlight other people's bariatric journeys and why they are grateful that they chose to have surgery. So if anybody wants to share their story with anyone else in the community and talk about why they're grateful, Madeline, you're welcome to send one as well. If you just send me your before and after, or just whatever photo you want me to use, and a little bit about your story, the reasons why you're grateful you chose to have surgery, we'll highlight you on the page.
So exciting.
Awesome. Well, Jason, do you want to take us out?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to thank everybody for all the support that you guys have given us. You continue to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends to tell friends to join us and follow along, because helping people is what we do, and it helps us to help you guys to help us back. So the circle goes on, and we love it. And don't forget that you can also leave us reviews on your favorite podcast players, on our YouTube channel, and also on the Anchor app where you can listen to the podcast. You can also leave us voice messages that we can add into future episodes of the podcast. And we love hearing from you guys, and we also love highlighting you by sharing those voice messages. So don't forget to do that as well. And at the end of the day, just remember, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.